Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with a full breakdown of the Atomic Shop. A big question entering the launch of this game was, is it going to be as bad as Creation Club? So I decided to math-a-ton, added up all of the atoms that you can obtain in-game by just playing it, along with weekly totals which have been calculated. Sadly, yet no use of the Pythagorean theorem I learned in 11th grade math class, but I digress. Let's get into a full breakdown of this system. So like I said, first thing I did was I went right into the challenge menu and I broke everything down for us. I went through every single one of these challenges, and as you can see, a lot of them are progression based. So you pick X amount of locks, you discover certain areas, overseer logs. As you complete the story, you get a lot of these atoms. So after totaling all of these up in every single category, minus the daily and weekly, which I'll get into in a second, you can obtain, just by playing the base game, 4,150 atoms. Now, in Fallout 76, you pay money to get atoms after the fact. So for 500 atoms, it's $5. For 1,100, it's $10. For 2,000, it's $20. And for 4,000, it's $40. So basically, by 100%ing all the challenges in-game, you get $40 worth of atoms. Now let's add in the daily and weekly total, which is pretty much in the long term how you're going to be obtaining a lot of these atoms. So every single day the challenges get updated and you can collect up to 60 atoms per day, which 7 days per week you're going to get 420 atoms every single week, on top of the weekly value, which is at 150 atoms. I think this one needs a bit of a bump up to encourage more players, because this is stuff that doesn't take too long to get, like completing quests in a group or gathering building supplies, completing certain events. I don't think this is necessarily so tough where they should at least bump up the value to encourage more players to continuously sign in. Anyway, now that we have a good look at the actual challenges themselves, let's look at the Atomic Shop. I'm going to make some slight comparisons to the Creation Club. So I went through its pricing scheme, which we'll take a look at again right now. Now what I want to point out is the bonus atoms. 100 bonus atoms, 400 bonus atoms, and 1,000 bonus atoms. So once again, I did the math, and pretty much you can tell by $5 to 500 atoms, every 100 atoms means it's $1. So the $10 value with 100 bonus atoms is actually $11 worth of atoms. So the $20 bundle is actually $24 worth of atoms, and the $40 bundle is actually $50 worth of atoms. So this system really wants to encourage you to buy in bulk, not to spend 500 and 500, but rather spend $10 and get an extra 100. It encourages you to gradually spend more. And I think this is the biggest weakness of Bethesda Game Studios' Creation Club or the Atomic Shop, is not being able to buy the item specifically and pay like $2, $3, but instead buying atoms in bundles, buying this meta currency in bundles. And we'll talk about that right now. Let's look at some of the items. So since the beta, they've actually added a ton of new items. And like I said, just remember that 100 atoms means $1. So a vampire costume, $8. A red rocket jumpsuit, $6. And you see how some of them are priced just above that 500 mark, but some of them, the less cool ones, like for example sweater and slacks, which I don't think many of us are going to be buying, or the blue dress, those are only 300. So once again, carefully priced though, where you'd probably buy the $10 bundle because you can't afford both these if you just buy 500. Now I'm not hitting on it super hard, and the reason for that is because you can earn a lot in game, because you're not going to get all those 4,000 atoms worth of challenges completed in one go before the next weekly challenge. So if you couple in a lot of the daily and weekly challenges you can complete, along with gradually completing all the challenges that are put in the base game, you might end up with 5,000 atoms when it's all said and done. As you can see on the bottom right corner, I'm at 730, and that's after about, I think, 15 hours on my PS4 account. But once again, getting a good feel for this type of pricing system, $12 for the rocket suit, which was from Nuka World. We can see a Vault 76 cap, 500. It's just simply that there's no way, unless you spend a ton of money, that you can acquire all of these items. Now I did some quick math, okay? And for this section right here, not the entirety of the apparel section, just this 8 item section right here, 4,700 total atoms. So you'd have to buy the $50 bundle to just afford 8 items within just a small section of this entire store. So you really have to pick and choose carefully on what you exactly want to spend your atoms on. Once again, daily and weekly totals are going to play a huge factor into that. And I do imagine there will be events at some point in time that Bethesda allows us to acquire more atoms. I think a good suggestion for this system to make it a little more user-friendly is, of course, like double atom weekend or something along those lines to get more players in on the weekend and completing challenges, those weekly, daily challenges, so that they can come into this store and not have to spend real money, but instead in-game currency. Now, I know this in-game currency is what's going to fuel the free DLC, so that's also why I'm not hitting too hard on it, where we saw with Fallout 4, the Creation Club, which was horribly priced. It still has the same awful Creation Club pricing scheme of $750, 1,500 credits, and so on. And then you had to pay for the DLC on top of it. At least in Fallout 76, we are getting it for free. Now, we also see we have some paint jobs for the Pip-Boy, also power armor, and armor itself. Now, I was always wondering when I saw the paint section for power armor, where that would come in, because I kept scrapping extra pieces of armor, and I thought eventually I'd unlock a paint job, but it turns out you buy it from this store. So $8 for that, $4, $2, $6, $14, and $18. Now compare that to Creation Club, and actually Creation Club had a pretty large discount on all their items because Fallout 76 launched, but also I think that their power armor was fairly priced. I mean, the patriotic one, which looked pretty cool, was only at 100 Creation Club credits, so you could spend the smallest amount on that and still get a couple more items. I think that was due to a lot of fan backlash. I don't think the Atomic Shop is going to receive as much backlash just because it does fuel that free content and there is a way to get it merely by playing the title. But as we can see here, these are items that I think should be dirt cheap. Like, I'm talking the price of the icons. The icons are fairly priced, 50 cents each. Makes complete sense. Just little pictures next to your name when you're in a party. Completely makes sense. But the camp items, I'm talking like the stash, that makes sense, that stands out. But stuff like a carved door, a statue, the succulents, I mean, these should be in the 50s, I feel. An atomic lamp, that's kind of funny, but $5, spending the base value of $5, that's the thing. These packages kind of destroy what could be a interesting gameplay loop for Fallout 76 of going in, completing challenges, and continuously unlocking stuff. I also think photo mode, which is going to be a core of sharing the game, has some interesting prices because you have some pretty cool poses here, like a victory pose, a walking pose, a lotus, all reasonably priced in my opinion. And then you have rock out, which has a little bit more to it, and because of that, it's $6. This is just priced above the base value, which would make you want to spend $10, right? So that's the type of stuff I keep my eye out for when I go ahead and purchase things from this store. Anyway, that is the full breakdown of the Atomic Shop. Overall, the question that I posed with this video is this worse than Creation Club? Now, personally, I think, for example, this is ridiculous, that this whole section here is 4,700. But also, you have to consider that we can get more atoms by continuously playing the game week in, week out. So you can get 570 atoms a week if you combine those daily totals each day and weekly challenges. If that's the case, you're saving yourself $5 a weekend. By the end of the month, you have $20 worth of atom. Even then, that's about half this row right here. But let's be honest, we're not going to try to collect all this. We're probably going to try to buy one of these many items. Like for me, I'm probably going to buy this vampire costume. Just sounds dope, right? Maybe that, the 2076 glasses, rocket suit, and a cowboy hat because I'm on that Red Dead Redemption 2 high. Couple that with the Nuka-Cola stash, and that's pretty much all that interests me in here. I think it just boils down to the consumer getting a lot of options and deciding what they want to save up their atoms for. Just the thing is that you have to be very careful what you spend it on, because as you probably saw earlier in photo mode, I spent, I think it was $250 on the heart pose because that was like the only one that I thought was cool from the beta, and I took a picture with it, and then I find out that there are so many more, and I could have had 900 or so to spend on this vampire costume, which I think would benefit my character a lot more. So just keep all this in mind when you're purchasing. Overall, I think the system needs some pricing augmentations, just like Creation Club. I think if enough feedback comes to Bethesda, they'll make the proper changes, kind of like they did with Creation Club. I don't think the overall price scheme will change in the terms of how much you can buy per package for atoms. But if they just augmented some of these prices and tweaked them down a little bit, like a fringe dress or the greaser jacket, which there are already something like that inside Fallout 76. Why is that $8? These are things that just need to be slightly tweaked down to something like 300. That makes a lot more sense, and I think would encourage more people to buy in bulk because, hey, if I spend $10 and I can get 5 different pieces of apparel, then why not? Versus, hey, if I spend $10, I can get the vampire costume, oh, and like 4 icons, right? So that's the thing with this system, is I think it'll get more players involved if they can buy more items in bulk. Couple that with the weekly and daily challenges, and I think Bethesda could have themselves a healthy ecosystem that would keep the game alive for many years and encourage people to actually interact with this store. Because the way I look at it is, these are the base items, and unless you spend a lot of money, there's no way anybody's going in here and collecting all these, and Bethesda's inevitably going to add only more with each update on this title. So that's why picking and choosing is really a precarious process, because I might say, oh, this vampire costume's sick, buy it, and then next week Bethesda drops an update and says, hey, we're adding 40 different types of werewolf costumes to the game, and I'm like, oh, I love werewolves more though, and that's 1,200, and I think to myself, well, I only have 10 atoms left now, and I either have to save for weeks on end or buy more atoms. And then, if I'm really on a roll here, I think to myself, what if there are limited shop items? That's just a thought, not confirmed, pure speculation, but imagine if that werewolf costume I was just talking about was only in the shop for a week. Then I'm constrained, and if I only have 100 atoms, I know that based off my weekly and daily calculations, there is no way in hell I'm going to get the proper amount of atoms. So then, you have to spend money. So these are the things that we just need to look out for in Fallout 76. Just tossing some ideas out there along with a full breakdown of the system and the pricing scheme, so you guys can be informed if you decide to partake in purchasing some atoms, which I don't think this system's awful. I just think there's room for improvement in some of the pricing of the actual items. I don't think the bundles are actually necessarily terrible, or more so, just make a $1 pack of atoms, and then, for example, if I want to buy this gray paint, let me buy 2 packs worth of 100 atoms for $2 so I don't have to spend 5 or 10. Just some food for thought for Bethesda. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Atomic Shop in the comments down below. Do fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that, as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.